thrilling story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Warner Anderson as Matthew Swain, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, and Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie.
The Daylight Local from Boston. It carries a lawyer named Kennerly, whose arrival in Peyton Place will bring a shocking disclosure to Leslie Harrington.
Harrington residence?
Have they started to read Mrs. Harrington's will yet?
Yes.
Could you tell Mr. Harrington that Mr. William Kennerly from Boston is here, and that I'll be out at the house within 10 minutes?
I don't think I can interrupt.
It's important.
Yes,
The will concerns itself almost entirely with the allocation of Catherine Harrington's assets.
You know someone from Boston named Kennerly?
An attorney.
He called from the station. He's on his way here. What can he want?
I don't know. Should we wait for him?
No, let's go on.
There are no objections. I read from a list I drafted of the pertinent provisions. Christine Gordon, maid, $1,000. Robert Morton, not only co-executor, but a friend and physician. 15% of all dividends accruing on our Peyton Mill stock to be used for hospital funds. Rodney and Norman Harrington. The balance of the cash assets divided equally between them to be administered until their 25th birthday by Matt Swain, second co-executor, if he agrees. Laura Brooks, sister-in-law. All her clothing with the exception of her jewels and furs. To Leslie Harrington, surviving spouse. Our entire and complete corporate body of stock in the Peyton Mill. Well, that seems to be it.
Mr. Dow, please accept my appreciation for a dignified and briefly conducted moment. Anyone care for a drink? Bob?
No, thank you, Leslie.
Matt?
No, thank you.
Well, I think I'll leave. Goodbye, gentlemen.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Christine. Oh, Leslie, don't bother sending me Catherine's clothes.
I didn't think you'd want them.
Neither did she. Well, you finally got what you always wanted, the mill.
So it seems.
Seems. Goodbye, Les.
What are your immediate plans, Les?
Work. The businessman's remedy.
Take some medical advice. Don't let the remedy become the disease.
I'll be careful. You don't have to do that now, Christine.
Yes, sir.
Boys, can I have a few words with Mr. Dower? You care for a drink, Ted?
No, thank you.
You, mind?
Of course not.
What can this Kennerly want?
I don't know.
Well, he must want something.
We all do, don't we?
Ted, look this over. I estimate the inheritance taxes can easily be releasing stock options on blocks 3 and 4.
Date on this portfolio is the 20th, 2 days following Catherine's death.
I don't waste time. This is to protect the boys as well.
Oh, I understand, Leslie.
One thing more, Ted. I've been considering the possible advantage of altering the corporate identity of the mill.
You mean change the name of the firm?
I merely invite suggestions.
Harrington Mill?
Why not?
I'd wait, Leslie. At least until the people are prepared to accept the change.
What people?
People, Leslie. People.
On my back, please. Mr. Harrington?
Yes.
William Kennerly. I'm of the firm that represents your late wife's father.
This is my attorney, Theodore Dow.
How do you do, Mr.
How do you
Dow?
do?
I assume the will has been read, but I did want to be here as the attorney who drew the codicil.
Codicil?
Yes, modifying the will. You did read it.
I was never aware of it. I never received any copy of a codicil.
Well, Mrs. Harrington promised to deliver it to you.
Well, she didn't.
Never mind that. What is this codicil?
Well, I have a copy here. And thank you. Oh, may I?
She never spoke to me about this.
I imagine she might not.
Yes, here we are. By the way, I stopped off on my way here at the clinic to see Mrs. Harrington's father. Seems a pity he hasn't been able to come here at all.
Well, Ted?
It concerns the stock you inherited in the original will.
Yes, you'll continue to administer it, Mr. Harrington.
Administer?
Yes.
Who owns it?
That's the point of the codicil.
Yes, full and absolute proprietorship of Catherine Harrington's stock asset reverts to her father, Martin Peyton.
Ted, is this legal?
It's irregular.
Is it legal? Can this type of thing hold up in court?
It depends.
On what?
Your adversary for the first thing. And I begin to suspect in this case, you're confronted by a very good one.
I have a talent for winning, Ted.
Against Catherine. Did you ever win against Catherine, Leslie? Because, you see, that's who your opponent still is.
What do you expect him to say? I mean, no insurance agent wants to lose a client. The identical same coverage, Mr. Jowett, only for a lot less money. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. All right, it's your decision. Thank you anyway. Goodbye. Well, you can't win them all. How about getting something to eat?
Oh, I'd like to get this mailing out first, George.
The man who thinks ahead. Pays off sometimes. Just ask your friend Leslie. He's got it all. The Peyton money, the Peyton mill, everything he's ever wanted. Except my little Julie. I said, except my little Julie.
I heard. Anderson Insurance Agency. Fred Gardner.
That'll be $4, Dan.
Matt? Eli? I'm leaving first thing in the morning. Is there anything you want me to tell Elliot?
I'm expecting him.
Well, does he know you've been sick?
It's likely.
Well, don't get your hopes too high. You may be letting yourself in for another disappointment.
He'll be coming home this time. All right, Dan. Elliot never did like doing this when he was a boy. Busy work, he called it, but I made him learn it anyway. Good training.
Well, the parole board is going to want to know how Elliot is going to make a living.
Well, he'll take over the chandlery.
Is that definite?
It's a decent living, Matt, and I'm not getting any younger.
Have you talked with him about it?
Not yet. I thought that might be better coming from you.
He never wanted to work in the chandlery when he came out of the Navy.
He'd been through hellfire, Matt. Ship sunk, been through fire.
And what about now? What do you think he's gone through these last 18 years?
He's older now.
Well, age doesn't always temper everyone.
He'll take over. We've always been ship's chandlers.
But Elliot has a mind of his own. He's always been something of a rebel. Will he be happy here?
Happy. Nowadays, people talk as if the purpose of life was just to be happy. Forget about duty, obligation.
All right.
Hey, Princess.
Hello, Daddy.
You come to see me or your mother?
I was just dropping by.
Oh, Mother's upstairs. Say, why aren't you there?
Where?
Well, they're reading the will, aren't they?
That's a family matter.
Well, you live there.
I'm not a part of the family. See you. Hi.
Oh, Betty.
I saw Daddy on my way in.
Yes, he has an appointment, a prospect. Fred Gardner. Come in here.
How's it going?
Oh, you know your father. Hasn't failed at anything that wasn't going to make him rich.
Mother, if you had it to do over,
Do what of it?
I'm talking about getting married to George Anderson.
George Anderson?
Daddy.
Sometimes I think you never knew George Anderson.
Mother, what's he really like?
Your father loves us, Betty.
Is that enough?
It's a great deal.
But not enough.
It's a great deal more than most women have.
Is that true? Yes, maybe it is. Rod offered me money this morning from his inheritance. To leave him, Mother. He's paying ransom for himself.
Oh, I know how that hurt, Betty. Betty, maybe you ought to consider it seriously. You're young enough to start over again without feeling you've wasted half your life.
You sound like Rod.
Honey, it takes two to make a marriage. No matter how hard you work, it takes two.
Just like a divorce.
I don't like to hear you talk like this, Betty.
Why? What's wrong with being realistic?
You're not being realistic. You're being hard.
You were soft, Mother. Where did it get you? Tell me about your happy marriage.
I love you, Father.
No, you don't. Maybe you did once, but not anymore. You just feel sorry for him. And even more sorry for yourself.
That isn't true.
You know my earliest memory? Daddy shouting and you crying. That's how I remember my whole childhood.
And what are you going to have with Rod? Will there ever be love?
Why does everyone keep talking about love? Tell me what it is, Mother, from your own experience.
That isn't fair.
Well, everyone keeps talking about love as though it really exists. Oh, please don't tell me that it does. I thought it did. I thought a boy named Rod Harrington loved me.
Perhaps he did.
Then he didn't. Mother, what is love?
Betty, Betty, love is...
What you once felt for Daddy.
Yes.
Once upon a time. Mother, shouldn't you have told me a long time ago that love doesn't last?
It can, Betty, it can.
Well, you say that. But there are other things, aren't there? And there are people. Oh, admit it, there are people like Les Harrington who live without love. He has, Mother, hasn't he?
I don't know.
In a big house. The big frog in this Peyton Place pond.
Do you really think that Les Harrington has never had any regrets?
That's not important. He stayed. And today he's going to collect for all those years. Just like I'm going to stay and collect.
Oh, Betty, would you listen to me? Would you believe me if I told you you were throwing your life away?
Even if I did, what other choice do I really have?
Honey, you can always come home to me and Daddy.
That's what I mean.
You look busy.
Hello, Uncle Matt.
The collected works of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He had some good things to say.
Things must have been a lot simpler in those days. When you read him now, he seems as quaint as
A one-horse shay?
I don't know, maybe it's just the weather, but sometimes I really think everything's going to the dogs.
My granddad, viewing Earth's worn cogs, said things are going to the dogs. His granddad, in his house of logs, said things are going to the dogs. His granddad, in the Flemish bogs, said things are going to the dogs. And his granddad, in his old skin togs, said things are going to the dogs. There is one thing that I must state. The dogs have had a good long wait.
Men?
Looks like Christmas is coming early this year.
I don't know where the year's gone. Just seems to have gotten away from me.
Oh, never admit that. People take it as a sign you're getting old. I guess I ought to talk with Eli. He has his heart set on Elliot coming home.
I know. What are you going to tell the parole board, Matt?
Nothing until I've talked to Elliot tomorrow. I want to be sure he understands what it's going to be like coming home.
It would be a mistake. You must make him see that.
Eli thinks it's his duty to come home.
I'm thinking about my daughter.
I was taught it's very impolite to whisper.
And I was always taught that little pitchers have big ears. Do you mean that you want me to see that if he does get out, he won't come back here to Peyton Place?
Yes.
I have to be fair. Bye, Allison.
Bye, Uncle Matt. I'll have 2 columns on your desk by the time you get back.
Fine. I'll let you know.
But you know what?
Oh, nothing important.
Uncle Matt's going to the state prison to see Elliot Carson, isn't he?
That's right. How did you know?
Oh, the whole town's talking about it. I wonder what he's like, a man who murdered his wife.
You don't know that he murdered his wife.
Well, he was proven guilty, wasn't he?
There was some room for doubt.
Oh, really? That makes it even better.
That's a ridiculous thing to say.
Why?
Well, it just is. Are you almost finished, Allison?
Yes, it won't be long. All I meant was that it's kind of romantic, that's all.
I'm sorry, Allison. Just chalk it up. It's been a long day.
Sure. Mother, did you know him?
Of course. He grew up here.
And you don't think it's kind of exciting that he might be coming back?
No, I don't think it's kind of exciting.
I do. I can hardly wait to see him.
This place has really grown on me. I'll miss it.
Miss it?
Well, it was Elliot Carson's house. If he gets his parole, he could want it back.
He couldn't. Not after what's happened here.
He might.
Never. Elliot wouldn't want to live. At least, I wouldn't think Elliot would want to live here again.
How well did you know him, Connie?
Just casually. Oh, I really ought to do these dishes.
Oh, let him wait.
It's late, Mike.
I don't have any early morning appointments or mid-morning or all day for that matter.
They're not giving you a chance. I wish I knew more about these things.
Simple enough to understand. I know I was right, and Dr. Bradley is Dr. Morton's best friend.
And Dr. Morton is,
Morton is chief of staff. Well, you have to hand it to him. Their friendship means a lot to him.
You'll have that someday.
Will I? Remember those people I told you about in New York, the ones on the elevator? The ones that I didn't believe I knew because I didn't know their names? Well, here in Peyton Place, I know the names of the people. But not the people.
You will.
Will I? I'm not sure I want to know them.
Oh, you know you do.
When I was an intern, I had a fight with another intern. Then I knew what I was fighting and why. I
I miss it. I miss a clean, physical, out in the open dispute.
Oh, you're just upset. Come sit down.
Upset. That's polite. Angry is more accurate.
Have I been any help?
You live in the Peyton place.
So you don't understand me either. You know how I feel.
Do I? How do you feel? How do you feel about me? Tonight, right here, now, finally.
I'm here. I've been here.
Talk to me.
I've tried.
Have you?
Oh, Michael.
Well, don't say that. That sounds like a bad line from an old movie.
You're not even trying to understand.
It sounds like another bad line from an old movie.
Oh, you're angry? Another bad line? Well, you've been giving some bad lines, too. About giving up, leaving Peyton Place.
I never said that.
What were you saying? Talking about people on elevators, trouble with interns. You miss that? Or is that just a way, your masculine way of saying you quit?
The coffee's cold.
I'm sorry.
I don't regret what I said.
You had a right to say it. I didn't. You wouldn't really leave, would you?
No.
I'm glad.
Connie, wait. Put the coat down. Put it down. Come here.
I don't want you to leave.
Carson. Hey, Carson. You thinking about it? You thinking you make it this time? This time you'll be cool and neat. You won't tell them you were innocent. You learned your lesson. You ready to go along? You won't do it, Carson. You won't stay cool. I know you, you'll blow it. You can tell them the whole story all over again. All about the little man who went out the back door. And you go right out the door with the story, Carson. Huh? And then you come right back here. You lie up there night after night without saying a word. Bug me. You bug me, Carson, lying there night after night.
One more word out of you, I break your neck.
Preview from the continuing story of Peyton Place.
You had a look out on that square?
No.
Well, you better take a look. That fine young son-in-law of yours is up to something with Allison Mackenzie.
When I was a kid, I used to spend a lot of time here. Drawing spitballs, writing notes to girls.
I know. I used to watch you.
You think I killed my wife, Mr. Swain?
All the parole board wants from me is my opinion as to whether
I can safely return to Peyton Place.